What's going on, guys? Episode 3, Attack of the Clones, with David Jacob here, stand-up sales. So last week, we signed up for free demos with 3 of the major SaaS companies, with HubSpot, with Outreach.io, and Gong.io. So a quick recap of what's going on today. We also got some great information in regards to qualifying inbound leads and not just being a note taker and actually being a salesperson on inbound leads.
Yeah. So a little bit of a recap on what happened last week. So we signed up for all of the demos, and the assumption was, if they were, following a solid sales process, that within 5 minutes of signing up, we would get a cold call. We would get someone on the phone saying, "Hey, I saw you signed up. What's the deal? What are you looking for?" Qualifying us to see if we actually fit their ICP, and then driving us to book a meeting. And how did that go?
Yeah, none of them did any of that.
Yeah, none of that happened.
0% of that happened. I have been getting cold calls this past week. So credit where credit is due.
How many and by whom? That's the big question in my mind.
So Gong and Outreach are the only people to call. HubSpot has not called. HubSpot has only sent one email and no follow-ups, just one email. And the email was like, "Here's my calendar link, book a demo." So
just before we get off that really quickly, do you think that that's an Enron problem? Like, they're just too big to fail and they're like, book it, don't book it, I don't give a fuck. It is what it is. If you do, you do. If you don't, I don't care enough.
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit of both. I think it's like they don't really need like a 10 license account, or they don't have their prioritization of leads is different categorically. Like, their sales team is incentivized for larger deals. They have to hit quota. They have to hit numbers. They have to, they have shareholders, right? But that being said, there should be automated nurtures for a littler fish, such as myself, yourself, probably most of the listeners on this call. But there should be some way of nurturing through automation, right? Yeah. Here's a blog post. Here's another email. Yeah. Just like nurture. So there's none of that, which is crazy because HubSpot literally that's their software.
Entire business, right?
That's their entire business is nurturing and marketing. So a little weird. But that being said, Outreach has called the most.
Okay.
But they have left multiple voicemails.
Oh, so they're just calling and hoping for the best, and if you're there, then you'll get it. If you're not, we left your voicemail, so I've done the job.
Yeah, they left voicemails, which inherently makes me not want to pick up the Washington number now.
As soon as you see a number from Washington,
as soon as I see a number from Washington, I'm like, this is Outreach guy calling me.
Interesting.
So I'm the worst prospect. I'm trying to be one of the worst prospects in this situation, guys. I don't ghost salespeople on purpose. I think it's bad karma as salespeople. Treat others as you want to be treated in the sales process, right? No one hates a ghost more than anything else.
Yep.
But that being said, don't leave voicemails because now I know your number and I will avoid you. But I did talk to Gong. She got me on a local presence dial. So
Excellent.
That worked.
Yeah.
When I picked up, I heard my own echo, which was strange. I was like, hello.
Bad software.
Yeah, it was a bad connection. So I was like, what the fuck is this? And then she's like, "Hi, this is whatever from Gong." And I was like, "Hi, yeah, what's going on?" She's like, "Yeah, I just wanted to set up that demo." So she assumed it, which I'm
not averse to that. It's a little pushy, but
yeah, it's a little pushy, and I understand that they probably get a shit ton of these. Yeah. And like we said, like, they're big, they walk around like their shit doesn't stink. So I understand that, but at the same time, as a buyer, I should be treated the same in accordance to my want to use and give you money, right? So that's like the big topic of today's call is don't be like that. Like, don't just treat an inbound differently than you would like a cold call with somebody. Like, you never call up someone out of the blue and be like, "Hey, Johnny, I just wanted to set up that demo with our software." Like, no, that's not how it works. So don't treat an inbound lead differently. Like, actually ask why I signed up.
Yeah,
you should understand more. And then when I said, "Yeah, I'm actually, I'm on vacation," she's like, "Okay, great." I was like, "Yeah, let's follow up with me next week." She goes, "Great, let's put something on the calendar." And I was like, "Nope, don't want anything blocked off." And she was like, "Okay." Thanks. Bye.
So just folded immediately.
Folded. Yeah, one objection.
Oh, lawn chair. That is terrible.
But because why would I block something off just for you to call me again?
Interesting.
Like, actually qualify me for the demo. Like, why would you even want to put this on your AE's calendar or your closer's calendar?
Okay. So then let's say she did qualify you, right? So there was a qualification element, and we'll get into how to do that in a minute. If she went through at least a basic qualification, you would have booked the AE call.
Yeah, if she actually told me why I need to be on the call.
So because it was a worthless call in your mind, there was no value in getting on it.
Yeah, when that call came up, like, I'm busy.
Yep.
If I see a call with Gong, like, what was that again? It wasn't that important. All right, let me just cancel it, reschedule it, or just not even show up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the worst thing is salespeople don't even realize this is like, if you blocked off 11:30 on a Monday, that's a space that's unavailable for an actual sales call.
Yeah.
So it's disadvantageous for me as a salesperson and a business owner to have blocks on my calendar that are worthless.
So actually, considering that you were on vacation, at the point in which you hear that as an objection when you're on one of these calls, do you immediately go, "Oh, no sweat. Is there a more convenient time I can call you? When are you back? Why don't I give you a call then? I don't want to interrupt you." Or do you just push forward and keep going? Because my gut instinct would be like, "Oh, dude, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were on vacation. Let me call you back next week and we'll have a proper chat."
Never. So the chances that she's going to get me back on the phone is probably 0%.
Fine.
So use your attempt.
Use the attempt. You've got them on the phone now. Take the bull by the horns.
Yeah, exactly. And I picked up the phone, so inherently I wasn't.
You're not that busy.
Yeah, I wasn't in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner, like, oh, blah, blah, blah. like I'm not. Yeah, exactly. If someone's picking up the phone, they're able to talk because they picked up the phone. So, like, don't be afraid of that. Plus, I signed up in that situation for them to call me. I opted into their communications, whether by email, text, or phone call.
Makes sense.
I picked up the phone. I didn't hang up immediately when you said gong. Yeah. So, like,
the assumption is there that push the bubble. Do you find that a lot when you're training SDRs, that their first instinct is to do exactly what I did and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, bye-bye." Yeah, because I haven't done a ton of cold calling. I've done a little bit, but I've not done anywhere close to the amount that you have working in a B2B SaaS.
Yeah. You just you gotta understand that you are deserving of their time.
Gotcha.
Like, don't fold like you said, like a cheap suit, right? Like, being the authoritative figure. Like, we are a major SaaS company. We provide a very unique service. There's only one other true competitor in our space. Mm-hmm. You signed up to talk to me, so I'm going to do my job. I'm going to talk to you. But she didn't do that. She didn't like qualify me. Because if she asked me an actual question, like, "Hey, I saw you sign up for a demo of Gong. Just curious, what piqued your interest to sign up?" That's all you have to do. It's literally the simplest question of all time. And I will literally tell you why I signed up, and then we can take the conversation from there.
Okay, that makes sense. Fine. So then the big conversation right now has been all about qualification, right? Yeah. And there's a difference between qualification on like a pure discovery call versus qualification on a cold call. So why don't I guess you talk about your understanding of qualifying on a cold call, and then I can go the other way and talk about it on a pure disco call.
Yeah. So I learned B.A.N.T method, budget, authority, need, and timeline, which is pretty standard across the board. Mm-hmm. But as an inbound SDR, I had to get 3 of those 4 to even book the call, like on the call. So it instilled like qualification. Because if I booked a call and the closer or the AE listened to it and there's like, yeah, there's really not a need or timeline here, so I'm just going to cancel this. And obviously we only got credit if it was an
actual
SQL.
Attended, SQL.
No, sales opportunity. So they could have an attended call, they could have an hour-long demo, but if there wasn't like actual sales buying, it didn't count.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So when I talk to business owners that are getting SDRs, like, you need to have their skin in the game to your skin. Because if you're not going to pay them on a lead that's not going to move down your pipeline. So when they know that, they're more bought into the qualification on that cold call. And that's where we use B.A.N.T. So budget, right? They have budget set aside. They have enough revenue for what you're selling. And then A is authority. They can actually make the decision and sign on the dotted line. Need, they actually have a need for what you're selling, right? It's not a nice to have, it's a need to have. And then timeline, that's really depending on the business, right? Like what is your sales cycles? Like if you have a one call close, like someone who's a month out could not fit your timeline, right? It would be bad to put that in the pipeline. Other people, it's like, 90 days, 6 months could even still be timeline. So those are the 4, and then you need 3 of those 4. I usually think that budget, authority, and need are the biggest ones because you could always sell yourself into timeline if they have those other 3.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So budget's obviously the sticky one, right? So like oftentimes people are a little bit coy with how much budget they have. And they're like, it depends on what you're offering, right? So how do you effectively get an understanding of budget? Are you looking for a monetary figure? Are you looking just for the propensity to spend? Like what's the deal here?
Yeah. So when you're selling to like an actual corporation, like an actual company with an org chart, like they have budgets per month or per quarter or per year dedicated to specific things, whether that's marketing tools, whether that's headcount, whether that's, payroll, whatever it is, right? They have budget allocated. They're a large business. So ask that, right? Like what is your budget looking like for the end of the year, right? Like right now, this time is when budgets have to be spent. So next year they can actually have that same budget, right? If they don't have it, I'm sure everyone watched The Office, right? When they talk about a surplus and Michael Scott, he doesn't understand it and they have to buy the copy of the chairs. Same thing for your business, right? Like they need to spend specific budgets. If you're not dealing with a corporation, if you're dealing with like a person or a small entity, just understand like what they make on a monthly basis and what their lifetime value of a customer is and how you can relate to that. And then you can position like, are you willing to spend $5K to make $50K? So that's kind of how I do budget. Do you do it differently?
No, so mine is very similar. So it's, honestly, first maybe 3 or 4 questions on a discovery call is how much is the business doing a month, right? So on average, am I dealing with massive corporations? Absolutely not. Like most of our clients sit within the 60 to 100K a month mark, right? So they're not teeny tiny businesses, but they're not massive businesses either. And most people at that level, most people are comfortable at that range, kind of telling you how much they make, right? Oftentimes you get people who like to think they do a lot more than that or have done a lot more than that historically and who don't do that now, that are like, oh, I don't discuss the economics of my business with people outside of the business. And it's like, okay, well, I can just get off this call now if you're going to continue like this, because I don't particularly want to deal with this, and I know that you don't want to have this conversation, so let's just finish this here, right? But I think the big thing from me when I'm trying to deal with budget, oftentimes it comes down to propensity to pay. Financial ability to pay is really like you delving into needs and problems deep enough that they can really and truly, most businesses can find budget. Right? If they can see the ROI and they actually know that this is going to solve a problem that they have, they can find the budget for most services, right? If you cost them £1 million a year and they don't make, exactly, right? They clearly have the budget. They just don't want to part with it because fundamentally most businesses want to conserve cash, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
The big question from me is the propensity to spend. So have you taken on an initiative like this in the past? Yes, we have. Okay, so you've spent money on this service before. Yes, we have. Okay, have you done anything else in order to improve said current situation that maybe was a little bit different to this? Oh, not really. This is the first time we've ever looked into it. Okay, at that point, financial qualification becomes way more blunt and abrasive. Okay, so really and truly, is this a problem that you want to solve, or is this something that you're kind of exploring just under the maybe hope that something's cheap and does exactly what you want for 30 quid a month? Oh, like we're just kind of looking around. Okay, cool. When you're done looking around, come back to us and then we'll have a conversation, because I'm not going to have this. Well, I'm going to do this now. Do this after you've done shopping around the market, because I'm not the one you want to shop around with.
Yeah, that's having the authority.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's disadvantageous to like all company resources and their own time.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because why would you waste a pitch put someone in a pipeline, create a follow-up task,
Yep.
spend the money for that lead.
Yeah, 100%. And like I have the rep as like the very mean disqualifier. Like I'm not here to like listen to prospects bullshit, but I'm not, because it's time out of my day, right? I have an ever-growing list of tasks that needs to be done every day. And if I can save 10 minutes out of a 15-minute follow-up call by being a bit abrasive at the start and being like, do you want to spend money on this? Do you have the budget? Blah, blah, blah. Yes. Then I can take back that 10 minutes and probably get 2 or 3 tasks done over the course of the day just by chunking off my time. So yeah, 100%. Very aggressive on budget. Financial is a big qualifier.
Huge qualifier. Yeah, because a lot of people like the idea of the things that you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you have a good offer, or hopefully you have a good offer. People are going to want to buy it, right? Like, I don't think I've ever gotten a phone call for automated revenue, pitch what we do, and someone's like, nah, that sounds pretty terrible.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that sounds like a terrible idea. I don't think I want to do that. Like, that's not what, so like, when you're a salesperson, like, you want to like, oh, everyone wants to buy it. No, like, you got to super disqualify the better your offer is, because people will want to work with you, but if they can is the big question.
The funniest self-disqualification we've ever got at the agency. So we emailed like an investor who invests in like basically B2B marketing, like startups / companies. And I was like, I saw it and I was like, oh, interesting. Okay, they have a portfolio of companies. If we can get into one and prove the model works, we can probably get into the rest of them. Let me have a look at the website and actually, instead of just giving my kind of like standard template answer, let me do a little bit of research and kind of reply back. And I replied back and I picked the weakest company in the portfolio. I messaged her and I was like, oh, blah, 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 blah. This is what we do. This is how I think this would benefit this company. And she was like, you know what? You've picked the company that is the lagging one. You clearly know what you're talking about. All right, let's have a conversation. And if I think it's worthwhile, I'll introduce you to founders. And I was like, cool. We got on the phone, explained the offer. She was like, kind of went through all the pain points, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, you guys have carved out a really interesting niche. I've not heard anyone else that does this. This is really smart. So I want to say well done, first of all. However, this is all of the work that I ordinarily do as an investor and as an advisor for these companies. So me making them pay for you when I could do it for free is basically me just burning my own investment. So I can't in good conscience say yes to this. But go do it for everyone else, because this is brilliant. Do this. This is a great niche for you to have carved out and for you to the service to be doing. But I can't implement it in this business because I already am meant to be doing this for them.
Yeah, that comes up actually a lot in like services-based businesses. Is like a lot of people miss target, right? Like we have clients that they reach out to people who they're really like threatening from a job duties and responsibilities. I'm like, these people are never going to respond to you. Yeah, because you're threatening their job. Yeah, like go above that person, right? And like that's funny that you said that, because she could actually be a great referral partner. You'd be like, hey, you're like have a full docket, like you know what we do, refer us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, it's interesting that you mentioned B.A.N.T, right? Because B.A.N.T is the one that it probably gets the most noise made around it. It's the kind of the golden compass of sales system methodologies, right? Yeah. So question for you. How familiar are you with other sales methodologies? Because I've got a list of 12 in front of me. How many do you think you know? Because I know surprisingly a fair amount of these. Some of them are completely foreign, but I know a fair amount of these. I would probably say a little under half I've heard of or am like innately familiar with. Okay. I mean, I don't know all the acronyms, but I'm sure if you tell me about them, it makes a lot of sense. Okay. Yeah. Just gut instinct. Okay. So spin selling. No? Okay. So. Spin selling, like foundational sales method. If you never like read this, really genuinely good. So I'm teaching some of the guys in Client Ascension this, like as part of like the very long like sales coaching calls. Spin selling is super useful. It was originally developed in like the 1980s by Neil Rackham to like sell big like manufacturing machinery stuff. Basically, the logic is there are 4 types of questions that you should be asking on a sales call. So situational questions is like, tell me about the company, tell me about how many people are in the organization, what is your job role, what do you do, that kind of stuff, right? Most of that stuff you should be able to use the internet to find out. How much revenue you're making a year, yada, 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 all the rest of it.
Problem questions are basically like, tell me like why this is an issue, classic like pain point discovery questions. Then implication questions are like, okay, what happens if this doesn't get solved? If you didn't do this, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And then you've got need payoff questions, which are like, why is this a benefit if this gets solved? What would you be able to do if you could do this instead of that? Right. So combining that into a sales process actually makes most people fairly good at sales.
Oh yeah. Those are the same types of questions that, I just didn't know I had an acronym.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
Okay, so neat selling.
That's great, though. That's exactly how sales calls should be.
Yeah, 100%. And this is the same methodology that's been now used for the best part of like 45 years, right?
Yeah.
If you use the specifics, does it get a little bit iffy because, selling manufacturing versus selling SaaS, different problems, yada, yada. But like conceptually, logic-wise, makes complete sense.
Yeah, implication is a huge question.
That is the one big thing. So I review a lot of sales calls, kind of like at least, I would say, I review probably between 10 and 15 sales calls minimum a week. And the one big problem that I see at least 80% of people not doing enough of until we kind of take them through sales psychology is not asking implication questions.
Yeah.
Single biggest limiting factor in people's sales processes is a lack of implication questions, 100%.
Yeah. Like what happens if we don't address this issue right now? That's the best way to overcome time objection.
100%.
Oh, let's kick this till next year. Like, okay, great. We could definitely do that. But what is the implication of doing that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So neat selling.
I feel like I've heard that.
Okay, so I haven't heard this, right? So this is developed by the Harris Consulting Group and Sales Hacker, was designed to replace standbys like B.A.N.T and ANUM. You ever heard of ANUM?
No.
ANUM is apparently authority, need, urgency, and money.
So the same thing.
Yeah. in different letters and in a different order, whatever. So the N stands for core needs, go deeply on challenges, yada, yada, yada. E is economic impact, A is authority, and T is timeline. So it's B.A.N.T with a different letter. That's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
All right. Conceptual selling system.
That's why I like B.A.N.T. It's just painfully simple.
Yeah.
Like economic need. Like just say need.
All right. Conceptual selling system.
No.
Conceptual selling is founded on the idea that customers don't buy a product or a service, they buy the concept of a solution the offering represents.
Absolutely.
They urge salespeople not to lead with a pitch, rather they encourage salespeople to uncover the prospect's concept of their product and understand the decision process. So ask 5 types of questions.
It lost me a little bit on that wording, but that's exactly how I sell.
So confirmation questions reaffirm information, new information questions clarify the prospect's concept of this product or service, attitude questions seek to understand a prospect personally and discover their connection to the project, commitment questions inquire after the prospect's investment in the project, and basic issue questions raise potential problems.
What was that called?
Basic issue. It's called conceptual selling system.
Okay. I'd probably say I align pretty well
most with that. Okay. Yeah. Next one, snap selling.
Well, these aren't really so much qualifications. These are more frameworks to sell.
Frameworks to sell, yeah. I'm actually
B.A.N.T's not. I wouldn't say B.A.N.T's a framework to sell.
I would say B.A.N.T is qualification.
Yeah, it's a way to qualify somebody and make sure they're a genuine opportunity for your business. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so then the rest of them kind of fall even closer to the sales frameworks versus qualifications. So snap selling, this is kind of stupid. Keep it simple, be invaluable, always align, raise priorities like that. I'm just ignoring that.
That sounds like a LinkedIn post.
Yeah, it does sound like a LinkedIn post. You ever heard of the Challenger sale?
Oh, great book.
Yeah, great book. So teach, tailor, take control. Yeah. Kind of outdated now, probably about 15 years old, but still incredibly useful.
Yeah, challenge.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, Sandler selling script. The Sandler selling system. You heard of this?
The Gong rep should have read the Challenger sell.
I really hope she keeps calling you just intermittently over the next couple of days to just try and get you on that second call. Okay, so Sandler sales, building mutual trust, rep acts as an advisor, ask questions to identify challenges in the qualification process, objections such as time or budget constraints often derail, raise and assess the majority of obstacles in the qualification process.
So I guess my question to you is just those are a lot of frameworks. What is your
Yeah.
go-to? Or you
I
had the David Jacob framework and no one knows about it.
it is kind of the David Jacob framework. I can't lie to you. So the ideal solution in my mind is the vast majority of the sale is going to happen on the first call, right?
Correct.
So in my mind, the goal is disqualify everyone who doesn't fit perfectly immediately. Simply by virtue of, I don't want to waste time on second calls. If I can bin you off in the first 10 minutes, great. That means I've saved 45 minutes in a week or in 3 days or whatever it is on a demo, right? So if we can whittle down the prospect list, let's say I book 100 calls in a month. If I can bin 50% of them, or let's say 75% of them who don't fit perfectly, and now I can focus all of my energy on the 25, I just stand a better chance of working with better clients and closing people who actually want the thing.
So sales leaders love you, marketers hate you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. That's why I do all my own marketing. The only person I have to blame is myself. So, and then I think the big thing for me that a lot of people don't do is like deep discovery, right? So like most people ask very surface level questions that don't tend to actually answer any issues that they need answering. They're just asking questions for asking questions' sake.
My biggest pet.
100%, right? If you need to ask yourself the question before you ask what question you may ask, which is, how does this further the sale? What information do I gain as a result of asking this question that is going to move the sale in the direction that I want it to go, right? So for me, like big, like obvious questions, have you done this before? How familiar are you with blank? Oh, I've never done this before, ever. Okay, fine. Given that you've never done this, how assured are you that you can get to insert goal here with no concept of what goes on? Oh, I think we'd be able to figure it out, but it'd take us 5 times as long. Okay, fine. Then ultimately, is speed the goal here, or is learning to do it yourself the goal here? No, speed is the goal. Okay, great. You went 2 or 3 levels down from a single question, and you just dug deeper, right?
Yes.
If you say you ask a question and then you go, okay, cool, and then you ask a completely fucking separate question, you just wasted the last minute and a half.
On that same vein is like people get so excited to pitch like on the first question. Because if you ask something and they say like yes, like, oh, do you think that email marketing is useful? Yes. Oh, perfect. Bam. Now I can talk about my email marketing.
Yeah.
Like that's my biggest pet peeve. It's not just asking questions, but like
pitching
not
too early.
allowing, like taking the first little nibble when there's a whole steak, you know, like the iceberg, right? Like the iceberg only shows this much, but there's so much beneath the surface.
100%.
And you have to ask those second and third and fourth, fifth questions to get the whole iceberg. And then then selling is so easy once you identify the iceberg.
100%. And then post that, it's how do I make this pitch listenable, right? Yeah. Most people's pitches are like 5 or 6 minutes long. They're convoluted as shit. They take an age to get out something that is a semblance of use. And then they finish it with, okay, sound good? And they're like, I guess, yeah, sure.
They're like this. They're like, wait, what?
Yeah, mine is best case, yours is worst case, right? Like, it just doesn't go anywhere, right? And then that's where you get sales. Sure. Yeah, like in an ideal world, anyone who gets trained by me, their pitch should be no more than 90 seconds.
Yeah, I'm going to say 2 minutes max.
Yeah. If you can get a pitch out in 2 minutes, you're going to keep someone's attention, right? And then it's about being able to localize the pitch based on what you've heard. And if you have a really clear understanding of the framework that you use to pitch, and then you can like sprinkle in little bits of, oh, and this would help with this that you mentioned, fantastic, right? The prospect feels like you're talking directly to them and it's not a pre-rehearsed, pre-recorded spiel that you've been made to drill 1,000 hertz.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
I'm a fan of it. I know we got a couple minutes here. What do you want to leave the listeners with for next week's stand-up sales call?
Next week's stand-up sales. You're going to get grilled on being able to handle objections. That's what's going to happen because we can do it this week. I don't know. I think we've kind of like very slowly started to work our way into the intricacies of B2B, and there's still a lot of uncharted water. So maybe we'll go and find some inspiration from listening to some other people's podcasts, see what they talk about, see if we can.
Yeah,
find
but
some
also I
contrary
think we should
opinions.
I think we should send some tweets out
Yeah.
about like topics that people want to hear too.
100%.
Because I mean, we're here selling. We're doing the wrong sales tactics, right? We're just saying what we think people want to hear, where we should actually be.
Test the market.
What the prospects want to hear.
100%.
Not just the sound of our own voices. But awesome. I think that's a good episode 3. Look on the Twitter timeline for to ask your input so we can talk about what you're interested in hearing. And we'll see you next week.
Stand Up Sales episode 3 all done.